this one? Good evening. Welcome to the February 25th Valley View School Board meeting. I would ask that you rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Following the Pledge of Allegiance, I would ask that you remain in a moment of silence. The Valley View community lost a current student yesterday, Tiana Anderson, and we lost a former student last week, Javier Quitano. I do not have words that would express the heartfelt condolences to their family, to losing two young adults, and I just want their families to know that the Valley View community is grieving for them and with them, and we have wraparound services being offered to the students and staff that have relationships with those children. So that being said, Mr. Zach, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dr. Mitchum, the agenda, please.
Mr. President, I'd like to ask that the board approve the agenda as presented.
Motion?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. Next, consent agenda items. Well, I'm sorry, board affirmation statement. You got it up? Yep. Vice President Zach.
Our mission is to empower all learners to be college and career ready and to develop, grow, and achieve as productive citizens.
Thank you. Consent agenda, Dr. Mitchum.
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to ask that the board approve consent agenda items 5.1 through 5.5. 5.1 board meeting minutes for 2/11/19. 5.2 executive session meeting minutes for 2/11/19. 5.3 gifts to Romeoville High School and Bolingbrook High School. 5.4 trips to Bolingbrook High School and Romeoville High School. 5.5 date changes for general education, high school, summer school, fiscal year 2019.
Motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion and seconded. Is there any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Member Gilbo,
Yes.
Member Pero. Yes. Member Baduras. He's out. Secretary Sakura,
Yes.
Vice President Zach,
Yes.
President Quigley.
Yes. Next up, student and staff recognition. VVSD Middle School Spelling Bee Champions. Bring on the bees.
Good evening, President Quigley, member of the board, members of the community. I'm Teresa Polson, the principal of Jane Addams Middle School, and I'm excited to recognize our spelling bee winners from our middle schools. They will be competing in the Will County Spelling Bee that takes place on March 7th. So each of these winners are from the 5 respective middle schools in the district. So first we have Noah Polens. Simona McDonald from Humphrey.
Congratulations. Good job.
And our other 2 winners, Samaya Adris from Brooks and Nathan Dewana from Jane Addams.
Congratulations. Good job. IESA Boys Basketball State Qualifiers. Jane Addams.
I'm back again. As the gentleman and Coach Gage transition down here, before they get here, I just want to recognize these young men for the talent that they displayed not only on the court for the past 3 years, as they all are 8th graders, but also in the classroom. These gentlemen are top-notch young men in our school. They walk through the hallways as leaders. They serve as academic leaders and athletes on the court. So we're really sad to lose them. However, we know that Dr. Paskevich, they will make you proud as they start to honor to be the Raiders next year as freshmen.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to thank the school board, Superintendent Dr. Mitchum, and President Quigley for us being invited here today and recognized tonight. I cannot tell you how much I truly appreciate being the coach of this team. This group of young men standing behind me went 25-4 on the season. They hosted the regional and won the regional, won the sectional by an average of by more than 20 points in each of those games. And then they went on to play in the state for the 2nd consecutive year. So that's a great accomplishment for all of them. As a coach, I've watched many of them since 6th grade grow up and get better as basketball players, and watch them through the school and as they've gone from 6th to 7th to 8th grade. And it's such a cool experience. And that's something that I haven't seen with many students before. They play hard. What makes them successful is they play hard on the court. They love playing the game of basketball, and they're truly respectful to their teammates and to me and the staff all around them. Like, I've been complimented by numerous schools about, like, they don't have to say anything to our school. Like, we go there, we play, we can leave, but they come up and tell me how much they appreciate how hard we work, how hard they play, and how respectful they are to their opponent, to the refs, to the coaches. So it's just an honor to be able to coach them. The only thing that I won't miss about this team is I've coached for like 13 years, and I've always had this, like, some days I'll just put on some shoes, get myself ready to play, and I'll practice with them. This is the first year where when I practiced with them, I was like, oh man, I shouldn't have done that today. Like, they make me feel old, they make me feel slow. Like, I was like, I don't know what happened to me, but they are so talented. It's just so cool. I will definitely miss this group. I think the whole school will. Coach Plorger's not able to be here today, but he has talked numerous times about how much he'll miss this group. And I know not everyone is here tonight. Some of them are playing basketball, some are at other functions, but it's just an incredible experience. So I want to thank the parents, I want to thank everyone for listening, and I want to thank the board for inviting us out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to announce each person's name. They're going to come up. You want to help me? All right. So let's go. Corey Graham. Just send me that one. Byron Montgomery. Jack Bedvarka. Damon Walters. Marcus Williams. Kalik Thompson.
Next up, the ISHA Chess State Qualifiers.
First, congratulations to our spelling bee contestants and also Jane Addams Middle School basketball players. We are excited to have them next year. Good evening, President Quigley, members of the board, Dr. Mitchum, senior leadership, and members of the community. My name is Rob Rose. I am the Assistant Principal for Athletics and Student Activities at Bolingbrook High School. I'm once again honored to be here to recognize our students, coaches, and sponsors for their hard work in reaching the state finals in their respective sport or activity. First up, we have our chess team led by Catherine Talon. Mrs. Talon has done a phenomenal job with our chess program over the last few years. This year was the first year in the history of BHS that we advanced to the IHSA state finals as a team. I know with some young players, we have a great shot at returning next year. At this time, I'd like to introduce Coach Catherine Talon.
Thank you, board members and everybody here. I would like to say a few words about this team. Once again, it is a young team. We had a couple of players who had the experience of the state championship before, but most of them, they were new to this and haven't competed at this level. And just to give you an idea of what the competition is like, the first day of competition at state was 10 hours of play. The second day was 8 hours of play. And they performed admirably, and I had a lot of compliments about the team and about their growth and about their potential going further. So I'm very proud of all of them in their performance at state. Starting with Adrian Castile, Alyssa Correa, Albert Hune, Pete Masick, Caitlin Mensick, and Wee Pham. We had a couple of players not able to make it tonight, Josh Knight and Jose Venegas.
Next, I'd like to bring up our speech sponsor, Donna Franks Tapley, who will talk about our sole state speech state qualifier at the IHSA state finals, Tariq Griffin. I have to tell you, if you don't know about Tariq is one of the most talented students that's ever come out of Bolingbrook High School. I'm sure at some point he'll have a record deal or pretty much whatever he wants to do in life. Very excited to see what he was able to accomplish and what he will accomplish in his professional career. At this time, please welcome Mrs. Donna Franks Tapley.
Good evening. I get to talk about Tariq. Okay. I first saw Tariq at a production of a fall play at Bolingbrook High School his sophomore year, and I'm sitting in the audience, it's like, why is this little boy not on speech team? So I had to find him and talk to him, and he was playing basketball, I forgive you. And his junior year, he came out for the team, and we just fell in love with him and his talent and saw right away his potential. Had an awesome novice season, winning several awards, and then coming back as a senior, just in 2 different events. Tariq was easy to work with, not because he was already talented and that what he brought to it, but I could give him feedback and he could understand how to take that home and work on his performance, because unlike performing for your parents at a musical or a play, you're performing for judges and you're trying to impress them and trying to get the best rank possible. And so he's done that. And so I printed off of his results. During his senior season, Tariq received 14 medals throughout the season, which is an accomplishment. That's almost a medal at every Saturday morning tournament. Most recently entering the state series, the regional, sectional, and then the state final, over 100 students compete in dramatic interpretation at the regional level. And then those students that do well advance to sectionals. And then at the sectional finals, Tariq was tournament champion, so we're yaying for that. That's a first place tournament champion. And heading into the state finals as the tournament champion from our region was a big accomplishment, because we're in a regional and sectional with Downers Grove South. And if you know anything about speech, their whole school is about speech. They have 260 kids on their team, on one speech team. So they're a speech school. And we will be one day, Rob, we will be. And so, you know, going into state finals, I found out after his results, after first round of competition, he got nothing less than a 2. And the most you can get is a 1. And after the second round of competition, Tariq had nothing less than a 2. And going into the final round, he was tied for first place. And so finishing third place at the state finals, nobody has done that since 1985. We did some research. And so congratulations on tying the record. His third place finish also qualifies him for the national tournament in Nebraska, and hopefully he gets to go and compete. And so congratulations, Tariq Griffin. We're very proud of you.
Next, I will introduce Shannon Price, who in her first year led our competitive cheer team to the IHSA state finals. As Dr. Pascavage can attest to, our team did a great job down at state amongst some heavy competition and just missed qualifying for day 2 by a slim margin. We're looking forward to seeing what our co-ed team can accomplish next season. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Shannon Price.
Thank you. Thank you to the school board for inviting us here to be recognized this evening. To our principal, Dr. Pascavage, and Assistant Principal of Athletics and Activities, Mr. Rob Rose. I want to personally thank them both because they've been super supportive of our program for the entire year. This year consisted of many changes for this team, obviously new head coach, but also new assistant coach, new teammates, and new traditions. They pushed through and came out as a family, even though their season was a tough one, and our sectional was no different. It was very competitive. We still were able to pull out against teams who had been beating us throughout the season in the top 5 in order to qualify for state. They ended up putting out the best performance they could have at sectionals in order to make that happen. It was as close to perfection as possible. And while, like he said, we didn't make top 10 as we had hoped, we were very close. It was still top 15 in the state, so we're now hungrier than ever to hopefully make that day 2 next year. It is my honor and privilege to present these certificates of achievement to the following varsity athletes who were able to attend this evening. Miss Jessica Cabral, Miss Haley Engelman, Miss Emma Jones, Miss Jada Jones, Miss Micaiah Manning, Miss Morgan Mercier, Miss Raven Robinson, Miss Maria Spencer, and Miss Kesley Van Dam. Thank you again. Thanks. Shake hands too.
And last but certainly not least, our competitive dance team qualified for the Illinois Drill Team Association state finals once again. Having an office right next door to the dance room, I know firsthand the time and effort and the beat and words to every song that these students put in each and every day. We are very proud of them. Please welcome head coach Brandy Kissy, who incidentally just got married a week ago. Coach, congratulations.
Good evening. My name is Brandy Kissy. I am the varsity competitive dance coach at Bolingbrook High School. Before I get started and introduce the team, I would like to thank President Quigley, Dr. Pascavage, Dr. Mitchum, Mr. Rose, and the parents, as well as the board for having us here tonight. Our 2018-2019 competitive season was a very successful one. This team scored the highest they have ever scored in IHSA competition, as well as qualified for the IDT8 series for the 3rd time in a row. They competed at the state series in Springfield and placed 6th in state for the hip hop category. This is by far the hardest working team I've had the pleasure to coach, and I am very excited to see how far they can go. I would like to introduce each one of them at this time. Georgia Asamoah. Georgia was one of our senior captains this year. She led the team with much pride and was a great role model for the other girls. Next, we have Asia Bear. Asia was also another senior captain this year. She always had the team's best interest in mind and made sure they were always ready for competition. Next is Kayla Chandler. Kayla is another senior we have on our team who came out after taking 2 years off. We're very glad she did come back, and she was a great re-addition to the team. She stepped up when we needed her to towards the end of the season, which ultimately ended up helping us get to state. Next, we have Brooklyn Douglas. Brooklyn is a very fun personality to have on the team. When there are new things we wanted to try in our dances, she was always eager to learn. She always keeps us laughing. Next, we have Andy Herman. Andy is a newcomer to the team this year as a junior. She's a very hard worker, that is willing to always learn new skills and is a great addition to our team as well. Next, we have Cameron Sharber. Cameron was another that without her, we would not have had as many stunts in our routine as we did. She was also eager to learn and did what she needed to better the team. And lastly, we have Jordan Sharber. Jordan is our last senior and was another choreographer on the team. She always made sure the team was competition ready and pushed them to where she knew they could be. We also have some members that could not make it tonight, so I'd like to mention them as well. Jake Campbell, Evelyn Cruz, LaDeja Kimbrough, Jyla McKay, and Jessie Tipe. Thank you again for having us, and I hope we see you again next year.
Mr. Rose. At one of our past meetings, Mr. Norman did a V for us. What do you got? Hey.
It's got to be.
All
There you
right,
go.
that'll do.
Thank you, ladies, and all the students, and everybody knows that these kids, they don't just do this during school season. These are activities that go on through the summer and all year round, and the parents that take them there, much appreciated. It gives these kids a little something extra and a little something different, but it should be recognized. I'm glad we get to do these things, because I got to tell you, go to the basketball game and you watch the competitive cheer and the dance and all that stuff, and everybody's doing their thing. You can tell these kids are having a blast out there, and that's what it's all about. It's part of their educational experience and them enjoying their high school and junior high experience as well. So congratulations to all those who made it to state. Board liaison reports, any and all from my left.
On 212, I had a handbook committee. We're sticking to a predetermined timeline so that we can get with the educational laws that are constantly changing. We try to continue to be transparent to our parents with the discipline, the attendance, everything that goes into a handbook. And you wouldn't believe how many people attend this to make sure that everything goes smoothly with all the schools. So thank you to the two young ladies that run this handbook committee. They've done an excellent job.
Anyone else from the left?
Last week, Member Gilbo and I attended the District Impact Team meeting where we discussed the district's strategic plan, and we specifically went over Goal 3, which is Strategies 5 and 6.
From my right? Just real briefly, the General Assembly, the governor gave his State of the Budget this last week. One thing of note in there was a comment about finding I think it was almost $350 million more for education based on the formula that was voted on a couple years ago. We look forward to how they're going to fund that and so on and so forth. The state still has a incredible budget issue. They are $3.2 billion, I think, arrears in back pay of bills beyond the normal standard backlog of bills, which can be $3 or $4 billion at any particular point. So that puts them at about $7 billion. But to be able to come up with $350 million more for public education is certainly welcomed. I don't know what those formulas are going to look like and how much we might see, if any, but hopefully the state will start funding education the way that they should and under the Constitution are probably kind of obligated to. So that's my 2 cents worth on that for this evening. Moving down the agenda, audience participation. Is anybody in the audience who wishes to address the board this evening? Seeing none, hearing none, moving on. Action items. Student due process case. Dr. Mitchum?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to ask that the board approve student due process cases A and B as presented.
Motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Member Gilbo?
Yes.
Member Pero?
Yes.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes. Next up, Ms. Kinder, Naviance. I think we discussed this at the last meeting.
We did, yes, sir. Action Report 10.1 is regarding the Naviance College and Career Readiness Platform. At the last board meeting, our Director of College and Career Readiness, Darletta Payton, presented information regarding this comprehensive solution to support college and career readiness, to support our students in connecting their strengths and interests to their post-secondary goals, improve outcomes, and connect their learning to their life after high school. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have in the detail that was presented in the previous board meeting, and we're seeking your approval this evening, pending attorney review and approval of the contract.
We have a motion?
I had comments.
Hold on, we have to have a motion first.
So
We have a
moved.
motion
So
and
moved.
second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Oh, I can do it. I know we had some questions at the last meeting, and privacy was one of them, and Mr. O'Driscoll was going to look into that. I think he still might be doing that. We also had a question about tech support, and it said as part of the package there will be tech support, but I know we do have a backlog with our tech department, and I was just wondering how that will be handled. We also had the question of who will oversee the information that's going in. There's a lot of information that's going to be collected on our students, and that's why I had the concern about privacy. And then the last thing, it said in our little packet, it said that there will be planning to determine what lessons will be used and classes that will be incorporated, that they will be incorporated into. And we asked, will it take away from the curriculum? I know the curriculum's already pressed, and the planning isn't all done yet, so I know we're voting on it now, and that's kind of tough to give a yes vote when we don't know exactly everything that's going into this.
Okay, we did cover many of these questions at the last board meeting, but I'm happy to reiterate or provide any additional information. Relative to the privacy concerns and consideration, there is a privacy policy that is provided, and then we put our high level of scrutiny on that as well. Our attorneys have reviewed the privacy policy as well as the agreement, and as well as the further language that would protect the information inside of the platform. I do want to stress that we are one of many districts that are not only considering but already use this platform, and there's been a very high standard of privacy protection for the information that is entered. And so we will, as I said earlier, pending the suggested modifications to further enhance that privacy policy, ensure that that is protected. And there's not been an instance, to my knowledge, of any concerns with the protection of student information in any instance with any of the partnerships that we were able to research. And we have many local school districts that are our neighbors that already use this platform and have done so for years. So we feel very confident with the reputation as well as the track record of Naviance. Regarding the tech support that is built into the contract, with any implementation of any product, which is many, there is a high level of coordination that occurs behind the scenes with our tech department and with the vendor that we're working with. Our tech department has a very thorough scrutiny to ensure that all the specifications are met and that it's mapped out very well. You are correct that we have a great load on our tech department right now with the implementation of a new student information system, and that's one of the reasons that we're bringing this now for the board approval to allow adequate time to begin the implementation this spring and have it fully up and running by the fall. So we're confident with the collaboration between Ms. Payton, with Naviance, and with our tech team that we are able to accomplish this, or else we would not be bringing it forward for the board's consideration and approval. Regarding the lessons delivered and the curriculum that is available in the Naviance platform, you are correct that we are working through the process of determining specifically what lessons. We have already been working through the process of that progression of readiness from the earliest grades in middle school all the way up to high school. So these are resources for our students regardless of where they are used, and then we will pick those priority ones that will be embedded in places during the school day. We do not feel that this will take away from any of our core curriculum or our elective curriculum in the classroom, and that we will find the time to use this and to embed it and provide this resource for students and their parents outside of school. So it is standard that we would get the board approval and continue to refine the details, but to this point, I feel that there's been a very thorough vetting and a lot of input from various stakeholders to ensure that we are being very purposeful about this.
With regard to security and safety of information, Astrid is here from our IT department. I know she's going to nod her head, but we take that stuff very, 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 very seriously. And as would any corporation or company or school district, we are very well aware of the information that we collect on students. And this is a tool that's going to help students, not only now, but going forward with their post-secondary education. So it's a very valuable tool, and I think it's great that you guys brought this forward.
Thank you.
We have a motion, we have a second, there's no other comments. A roll call vote would be in order.
Member Pero,
Yes.
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Member Gilbo,
No.
Secretary Sikora,
Yes.
Vice President Zach,
Yes.
President Quigley.
Yes. Next on the agenda, we have Humphrey Middle School site improvements.
Two action reports this evening, beginning with the site improvements for Humphrey. As part of our multi-year capital improvement program that will provide facility upgrades and infrastructure improvements throughout our district facilities, we do bring an action report, again, for site improvements at Humphrey Middle School. These improvements will improve vehicle circulation, including a new dedicated bus drop-off and pickup lane west of the current parking lot. This has been successfully implemented with similar layouts at Irene King, Jonas Salk, J.R. Tibbet, and Brooks Middle School, which should reduce drop-off pickup times and improve safety. Also, as part of this work, we'll create a ball field complex on the south end of campus, where currently a softball field is located. We will remove the existing track and field services and lay out a new track. Also, there will be a reduction in parking. There is an excess of parking there currently. We'll turn some of that area into green space, and we do have land banked in an open green area for an additional 39 spaces to be utilized should the need arise in the future. We solicited and received bids and opened them on February 14th. We received 5 bids for the work. Abbey Paving is determined to be the low bidder, and their bid is confirmed to be fully compliant with our project specifications. They have performed work on several projects for the district in the past, including site renovations at Irene King, Tibbet, and Romeoville High School, and we are very pleased with their quality of work. We intend to start construction this spring and continue through the summer with completion before the start of the next school year, that being August 2019. Funding will come from the bond proceeds fund. At this time, we are recommending awarding the contract to Abbey Paving and Seal Coating for site improvements at Humphrey Middle School in the amount of $2,306,965. Contract subject to attorney review and approval.
Motion?
So moved.
Motion and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Roll call vote, please.
I have a question.
Oh, you do have a question. I'm sorry.
That's okay. My question is, I even drove through here because it's close to my my home. Where is PE going to have any place to go outside during physical, we've eliminated the back part where the baseball field is now going to be a softball field. Is the green part where the swamp is at, or where it was at, the old softball field, is part of that going to be usable for PE?
I would guess the inside of the track, you've got an entire green space inside
You
the
do
track.
have some inside there, because you're also eliminating some of the green spots over where the bus is going to go. The bus lane is going to go. You've eliminated a big
Right.
area over there where they used to have PE.
Again, you've got a track, you've got two ball fields, you've got the complete field inside the track. I would think that would be certainly more than what's there now, or at least equal to what's there now.
Okay.
That southeast corner is a low-lying area that's going to be regraded so that it's not a swamp area as it currently is.
Yeah, the swamp. My other question is, you're going to resurface the track and put an all-weather track there?
Correct.
Or can we now use that, Humphrey, as for track meets for junior high also?
That is the plan, correct.
Good, thank you.
I have a question. Utility equipment is going to be fenced. Can you explain that? I just didn't know what utility equipment was.
Yeah, I think that has to do with the transformer that's out there, along with the area, the equipment for the solar panel field that's also being put in there.
Mike's coming down. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Lopez can provide a more detailed response.
So when we talk about fencing that area, that area that's on the east side of the building, where right now you've got a couple fence areas, you got a exposed chiller, you've got the cell tower there, and a couple spaces there. So we're actually going to enclose that area with a fence to conceal it visually. We're also adding a generator, an emergency generator in that spot. So basically to kind of clean up that area, because traffic does pass by on the east side of that, going from the front of the school towards the parking lot on the east. So we're just going to clean that up.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right. We have motion second and asked and answered questions. Roll call vote, please.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Gilbo?
I'm going to abstain.
Member Pero?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
No.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes. Motion carries. Next up, Oakview School site improvements.
Similar to Humphrey, we're doing some site improvements at Oakview, expansion of the north and west parking lots, which will expand the parking from currently 81 spaces to 110 spaces for sorely needed parking at that campus in a more efficient layout, which would certainly fulfill the adequate needs of the school staff and visitors. Improving vehicle circulation, expanding the drop-off lane and mandating directional traffic with one-way layout loop in the parking lot. The main curb entrance will be relocated so it aligns with the three-way intersection on Schmidt Road. Again, a much-needed improvement there. Concrete sidewalks throughout the site will be replaced, as well as expanded to the west side of campus where student walkers coming from the neighborhood and parents drop off, where currently a sidewalk does not exist. On this project, we also solicited bids and were opened and publicly read aloud on February 14th. We had 9 bidders submit bids for this project. And after due deliberation, Abbey Paving was determined to be the lowest responsible bidder on the Humphrey site work project. During our due diligence with them, they've also indicated that they are capable of completing both the Humphrey and Oakview site projects to the satisfaction of the district, which was certainly a concern with them receiving both bids. Same timeline, we intend to start in June when school is out, completing it before school opens back again in August. At this time, the recommendation is finding that A-Lamp's bid was not responsive and disqualifying A-Lamp Concrete as the lowest bidder, finding that Abbey Paving is the lowest responsible bidder, and awarding the contract to Abbey Paving and Seal Coating for the site improvements at Oakview Elementary in the amount of $810,900, with the contract subject to attorney review and approval.
I make a motion to accept the recommendation.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Is there any discussion? Just have a comment. Mike, where you at? Oh, you're there. Grab the mic. That's fairly close to my house, and that turn in off of Schmidt to get into, is that drive entrance going to be opened? The parking lot, is that going to be widened a little bit?
You're talking
It
about
looks
the,
like it in the drawing. It looks like you're maybe making it a little wide. It just seems like it's very difficult. You really kind of have to crank to get in there.
are you talking about the one that on the north end?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're actually,
Drawing, it
we're
looks
making
like
it the
it's being
same
widened.
width,
It's
but we're,
good. Thank you.
yeah,
That's all I want to know. Thank you.
right, but we're actually aligning it with the intersection. So now instead of being confused as to when you exit the site there,
It's
we're aligning
confusing
it.
when people, especially in the mornings when people are dropping off and trying to get
Very
in and out
confusing.
there. Yep, thank you. That's all I had.
I have a question. The west sidewalk that's going to be added, is that on school property?
It is on school property.
Anything else? We have a motion, we have a second. Roll call vote would be in order, please.
Member Perro,
Yes.
Member Gilbo,
Yes.
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Secretary Sikora,
Yes.
Vice President Zach,
Yes.
President Quigley.
Yes. Next up, Ms. Nash, Human Resources Report.
Thank you. Action Report 12.1 is our consolidated action report for certified and classified personnel. This evening, we're seeking your approval for 30 items of certified personnel, 23 items for classified personnel, and 2 items for classified administrative personnel.
Motion?
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none.
Again, sorry, gotta have questions. I was just wondering, Ms. Nash, for any resignations and/or terminations, how are we doing on our exit surveys?
So for last year's exit survey, out of roughly 100 resignations, we only had 20 returns. For this year's exit survey, we have about 27 resignations and 0 returns.
Okay, so I guess I'm just going to say to all the employees, anybody out there, whenever you do decide to move on to somewhere else, please give us some feedback so we know how we can improve ourselves here at our school district. Thank you.
Motion seconded. No further discussion. Roll call vote.
Member Gilbo,
Yes.
Member Perro,
Yes.
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Secretary Sikora,
Yes.
Vice President Zach,
Yes.
President Quigley.
Yes. Next up, information report. Gary?
It is that time of year where we bring our typical annual computing device refresh to the board for consideration. Tonight's information report will outline the students and staff have been using Chromebooks district-wide since the 2012-2013 school year. We made district-wide purchases in that year and the subsequent year, 2013 and 14. At this time, we will be looking to bring an action report in a subsequent meeting to replace over 2,550 student and staff Chromebooks, which are being used as either a one-to-one device in the elementary schools or loaner Chromebooks for our middle and high school students. These 5 to 6-year-old Chromebooks are experiencing a high rate of component failure, in addition to replacement parts being difficult to locate and costly to purchase. Along with that, we'll be looking to refresh the staff laptops, about 1,475 of those, which have been in use for 5 years at the close of this school year. Those devices are used by staff as their primary computing device and as a school resource. All certified instructors would be provided with a new touchscreen flip laptop going forward. We have many of the flip laptops in production for the last 4 years. And we're also, after a pilot in the district, we'll be providing over 275 Chromebooks to parapros throughout the district as both a primary resource and a shared laptop. So this is something new that has been on the radar for a little over a year, and the idea was to pilot that, seek feedback on how they were used, what they were used for, before we made the leap forward. And so overall, we've got 2,777 Chromebook devices that would be refreshed, along with 1,531 laptop purchases. Total estimated cost at this time with preliminary pricing, $2.25 million. We would utilize a tax-exempt lease, as we have in the past, to fund the purchase of these devices, replacing an expiring lease that would be paid off this June.
I have a question for you, Gary. So I understand the laptops, the teachers, I just want to make sure I kind of got it straight. So the teachers have laptops now, but they're going to be replaced with new laptops that are going to be the touch and then the flip. So I just kind of want to know where their laptops are going, if I have that straight. I don't think I actually have that straight. And then the aides are going to also, is it just some aides are going to get the Chromebooks that are touch? And then if they do, what capabilities will they have? Because I know before they had email capabilities, but I don't know what capabilities their new ones will have.
Sure. For the parapros, I'll start with the second question. They will have full capabilities other than printing. The Chromebooks don't allow printing. In that instance, we would have laptops available for kind of a shared resource within the building. If they had to use, there was something they just had to print. But for almost every parapro would be provided a touchscreen Chromebook for email, for access to the G Suite, Google G Suite, Google Docs, and everything else that the district is utilizing. In terms of the staff laptops, majority of the laptops being requested would be a direct replacement, one-to-one. Last year, there were some laptops that were purchased that would be redeployed within the district, so that all of the staff receiving laptops this year would get the newest version of the laptop. And then those laptops that would be redeployed would be those resource laptops that I mentioned for use by the parapros, as well as some loaners, backups, things of that nature.
And then the students are getting new Chromebooks?
Correct.
And what happens to their Chromebooks that they have now?
The older Chromebooks, we'll have to assess their condition. Some probably are beyond their useful life, if you will. Others will be, could be used for parts to support the remaining Chromebooks that are still being utilized throughout the district. And some would be scrapped.
Okay, and then my last question is, I know we don't provide them for all first or kindergarten through third grade, just the honors third grade students. So maybe, Rachel, this might be for you. What are the plans for the younger kids?
So we are 1-to-1 ratio or better, grades 3 through 12. And then our primary grades, we have access to a multitude of resources, including Chromebooks. They just don't use them on a 1-to-1 basis. The ratio is slightly lower. I believe it's just under 0.7 to 1. So they're shared amongst grade level teams. And they also have access to other devices that are needed, for that age that is developmentally appropriate. We've found that it has been meeting the needs for our primary learners, including the technology that has been added to our early childhood.
Okay, so I guess I'm kind of asking, if we have more, could there be a lower ratio that maybe more of the younger kids could have? I would imagine more in classroom than taking home, but a lower ratio, if at all possible. I would like to see that.
Based on the feedback from the teachers and the administrators in those grade levels, they have sufficient access and usage for the amount of time that we would be wanting our youngest learners on devices throughout the day. It's not the only answer. There's so much more that our teachers do with our littlest learners. So the amount of time that they have access now has proven to be sufficient, not only for their age developmentally, but also to meet the curricular needs, and also to allow for best practices instruction with the teachers. If that should change or need to be adjusted, we're certainly open to it. The decision wasn't made because we didn't have enough resources to go 1-to-1. It was made based on what were seen as the needs for our 5, 6, and 7-year-olds. But it's definitely something that would be evolving as things change. But it's definitely something that would be a continued thing that we would monitor.
Yeah, I'm just thinking instead of 1 to 7, maybe a 1 to 3, something like that.
No, I'm sorry. maybe I misspoke. It's just about one-to-one. It's just under one-to-one. So for example, if there are 3 sections of a class at a primary level, they may share a Chromebook cart and have access to devices that they use for their class. They just don't always have them in their class 100% of the time. So the ratio is just under one-to-one, meaning we do share resources at those classroom levels, and they're not one-to-one in the sense that they would, bring the devices home or have this device specifically belonging to an individual. But they do have access that has proven to be more than sufficient, to my knowledge. If there's any other feedback, we could certainly revisit that decision.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
How many devices do we have, Astrid? 20,000? There you go. It's a lot of devices. Any other questions or comments on this?
If you're interested in seeing the device, Astrid has one with her tonight. The staff flip touch screen, so I encourage you to stop and take a look at it.
There you go. Thank you.
Astrid made a comment that we do have more devices than students, and there is a higher ratio of devices to students at the upper grade levels, and that's based on curricular needs. For example, a Chromebook isn't fully capable of doing things that we need in CAD or architectural drafting or things of that nature, but it fulfills so many other needs. So those students have access not only to their Chromebook, but to a computer in the lab where they take that coursework.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I know that some of them, batteries run down and everything, and so is this going to solve all of that problem? Like,
Are you speaking specifically to the laptops or the Chromebooks?
The laptops.
The laptops? Yes, that definitely will.
That's it for
Okay.
this? Oh, I'm sorry.
Our Astrid Welch, our executive director of technology, just commented that we moved from a 5-year refresh cycle to a 4-year refresh cycle to stay on top of those needs that may arise. And we know how quickly technology changes and evolves, that it's necessary. 5 years is a long time in a tech sense. So being on that shorter cycle will help alleviate some of those concerns that staff may have experienced with their laptops.
I also want to comment, when we went to this a couple of years ahead of schedule, there was concerns about, the devices getting, beaten up or the kids wouldn't take care of them. I don't know the exact number, but I've been told it's very, very low when you talk about the number of students that we have. They take these, whatever they have, they take them home and they take care of them. And they know the value of them in their classrooms and everything else. I'm sure there's, 1 or 2 that have been, dropped in the tub or whatever happens to them. But by and large, the students have been very, very, very responsible with their one-on-one devices. So.
Absolutely.
Now with these new laptops, we're going to go with a different type. Instead of a smart board, we're going to go with a new movie screen and a new projectors so that these will coincide with that. What are we going to do with the old stuff?
It is correct that we are transitioning to interactive whiteboard displays, and the projectors of the past are phasing out, and we are going with an option that allows us to cast not only teacher devices but student devices to the screen. So it's a wireless connection, not the traditional projector in the sense. In terms of the old smart boards, as those reach the end of their life cycle, those would be phased out, and I am not certain they'll be moved. Okay, so currently at the high school level, we have done a pilot to test out some of this newer technology in the classrooms. As those classrooms begin to get upgraded, we will move those devices down to middle and elementary, and then continue that role to upgrade as the phases out. Our high schools were the first to have the smart board technology, and then it kind of cycled all the way down. And so now as we follow that flow, that same thing will happen as we replace as they reach the end of their cycle, and we continue to upgrade to the new interactive whiteboard displays and the new projector system.
hence why we're providing the flip touchscreen laptops to all educators, whether they're in high school, middle, or elementary, because there's so many capabilities that they can already take advantage of prior to them getting the new classroom technology that Assistant Superintendent Kinder referenced. And we'll be bringing an information report for that new high school technology, which, as Assistant Superintendent Kinder mentioned, allows both staff members and students to cast their work to the projector if they would so choose to do that, or if an educator prefers to work in a more traditional setting because the curriculum requires them to do that, then they can continue to utilize the technology just as they have right now.
Great.
So that'll be an additional fee when you get the additional technology that coincides with those laptops?
Yes, the cost of the devices is really for a projector and then for a pull-down screen, and then some classrooms, due to the visibility and the layout of the classrooms, may need an additional component. But the cost to replace those components is far less than if we had to buy a full-blown smartboard touch screen as we did originally. So we are shifting. There has been a slight cost increase with the flip laptop device, but that is far less than if we were to put a fully integrated touch device in the classroom. So we're making the use of the device in the educator's hands that they can use all the time, whether they're sitting in that space or not.
Thank you.
From an enterprise level, these projectors are more efficient. They're LED bulbs as opposed to the old halogen bulb. Really no cost to replace the bulb. The hours should outlive the projector. They also are networked, so they have the ability to be swept and shut down in mass versus being left on, overnight or what have you. So there's a lot of positives coming out of this. Those projectors have been well maintained by our maintenance team. They've been PM'd, preventive maintenance, every summer. We've certainly got our use out of them, but it's come now to where they certainly need to be replaced. And as Astrid mentioned, we're not having to replace anything on the wall other than a pull-down movie screen, old school. But the projector itself is a much more robust piece of technology that allows the teachers as well as the students to interact with it by casting.
Wirelessly, so an educator can stand anywhere in the classroom, and as can our students. And it again takes advantage of the infrastructure that we have purchased with the wireless components and the students' Chromebook, in that they can sit, stand, move around the classroom and project at any given time. So we'll look forward to bringing that to you later on in the spring. And our first step is these laptops to get them in the hands of our educators so that they can begin to utilize that new technology. Thank you for your time.
Great, thank you. It's good to be on the cutting edge of technology.
If I may comment in reference to President Quigley's comment specific to the concern that our students might destroy some of our technology. I just like to say that, again, when our students are given the opportunity to prove that they are equally as responsible to any other students who have, in other districts, who have been exposed to one-to-one technology, that they prove that they can handle that technology and be as responsible for that technology as any kids anywhere else, just as our students can also, when met with rigorous curriculum and a staff that believes in them, be equally successful academically as students in any other districts that traditionally are. So it's a kudos to our staff and kudos to our students, because as we continue to increase the rigor in our curriculum and increase the expectations for our students, they don't disappoint.
Thank you. And Dr. Mitchum and myself and Astrid, I forget who all went to, we went to Microsoft and to Apple 7, 8 years ago. It's been a long time. And we decided to make this jump, and it was amazing. And the conversations about where the technology is and where it was going, where it is now, the back of the house things that were required. And kudos to your staff, because you guys have done just a great job of, staying on the cutting edge of this technology. These kids graduate from high school, they go into college. They've been there, done that. They've seen what's going on with the technology, and they already know how because they have a hands-on experience with it. And kudos to everybody, Gary and the finance and everything, getting this done 2 years earlier than what we originally planned to. So please pass that along to your staff. Thank you. I think we've talked about that. Let's see, where are we at? Legal Services Report, which you all came for.
No report.
Thank you. AFT report. Thank you. Valley View Council report. No report. Valley View Office Personnel report. No report. Old business before the board. Any new business before the board?
I have a question for John, our lawyer over here. For new business report, I'm not really sure what goes into that category. Does it have to be on the agenda, or can I just bring something up that I believe is new business?
We can't vote on anything that has not been placed on the agenda, but you can bring up something on the new business section.
That I would like to eventually vote on? Okay, that sounds good. In the year 2019 and 2020, after that year, our superintendent will be retiring. He's already announced that before, so that's okay. I know that he's got some big shoes to fill, literally and figuratively. So I would like to ask the board, that's about a year and a half, little less than a year and a half away, to put on our agenda or to start beginning thinking about what we're going to do when he is no longer with us, beginning a national search for a new superintendent. So I would like that to be placed on the agenda so we can discuss that and figure out what we're going to do when Jim's gone. Thank you.
Noted. Thank you. Any questions from the public on actions we have taken this evening? Any announcements by the board from my right?
Yes, I have one. On March 16th, St. Andrews, the Knights of Columbus, is having their St. Pat's Day party. I believe it starts at 5, goes to about 8 o'clock over at St. Andrews in Romeoville.
From my left.
Okay, I have an announcement as well. The Romeoville Fire Department Auxiliary is going to have a fundraiser on Tuesday, March 5th at At's and Ice Pizza. They're going to have raffle ticket sales, and it's all the raffle ticket sales will begin at 4, but the fundraiser will begin at 10 a.m. So if you'd like to support the Romeoville Fire Department Auxiliary, who supports the Romeoville Fire Department, we'd love to see you out there.
I see Principal Kinder in the back. St. Baldrick's doing that this year? That's a question. If they are going to promote that, please have 1 or 2 of them show up at the one of the meetings in the near future. I would like to help support them. Great, thank you. I just know it's coming up.
I just want to announce that Romeoville High School has their spring musical, The Addams Family, opening this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the following weekend on Friday and Saturday.
Anyone else? Any announcements by the administration, Dr. Mitchum and staff? Any announcements by the public? Motion to adjourn would be in order.
Second.
Motion and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Stay warm, stay safe, drive safely. We're supposed to get some more snow.